We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Today we begin chapter 4 of Panchadasi by Swami Vidyaranya. We have finished 2 chapters so far, chapter 10 and chapter 3. This chapter is called Dvaita Viveka Prakaranam, the differentiation of duality which is experienced by us. There are 69 verses, and I have notes which are distributed in 3 volumes, roughly about 200 pages each. About 500 pages of notes are available for this. As usual, I will start with the broad summary of what this chapter is. This chapter is divided into 7 topics. The first topic is introduction to two types of Dwitham. Shankaracharya introduces Advaita principle in explanation of Prasthana Trayam. Prasthana Trayam means Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and Brahma Sutra. There are different ways to interpret the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads. The 3 primary schools are Dwitham, Advaitam, and Visishta Advaitam. Dwitham means I and the Lord are different. Advaita means the Lord is appearing as me and the world. Therefore, there's no duality. There is only non-duality. Visishta Advaita means that there is a Lord with attributes. And the attributes of the Lord is the cause of Dvaita. And Lord can never be the Jiva. That is Visishta Advaita. So there are 3 different schools. Shankaracharya has propagated Advaita Vedanta. That is what we have been following in all our talks. Here, Swami Vidyaranya is trying to tell us why we experience Dwitham in the world. Why do I say that the world is separate, I am separate? What is the reason behind it, and what are the different types of Dwitham? So he gives an introduction. We will see when we discuss that verses, you will have more details on that. The second topic is Ishwara Dvaita. the Dwitham which is created by Ishwara. That is from verse 2 to 13, a very beautiful section. You will enjoy that section because it's a very unique nature of presenting Dvaita. Jiva Dwitham is from 14 to 31. This is the fundamental, the key aspect of the whole chapter. What is Jiva Dwitham? Then from 32 to 37, 6 verses are there which deal with this. Jiva Dwitham is bandha karana. You see, we always talk about moksha in Vedanta. And we don't know how do I get rid of this bandha, bondage. What is the bondage? How do I get rid of it? That is very beautifully explained in this 6 verses. Then Brahma jnanena jiva dvaita nivritti. That is the 5th topic. 38 to 66. The main portion there is how to remove the inner enemies in the mind, mala nivritti. See, if the mind keeps on projecting, how do I get rid of these projections? Through viveka, through pratyaksha bhavana, through prarthana, through sankalpaha, through satsangaha. Especially whatever we have learned in chapter 16 and 17 of Bhagavad Gita is explained in this section. The 6th portion is what is the benefit of knowing this differentiation? What do I get out of this? And the main benefit is I get rid of sorrow in my life. When I get rid of sorrow, it has a process. You see, there is a process of teaching, and at the end of the teaching, the phalam is sorrow gets nullified. And 69 verse is just a conclusion how to understand the essence of this whole chapter. So this is in short the 7 topics which make up chapter 4 of Panchadasi. And the next thing I want to explain to you is what are the topics which we will cover in future, and what chapters we will cover, and what is the main connection. See, Tattva Viveka is in chapter 1 with 65 verses, and it mainly deals with one verse of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Chapter 2 is 109 verses. This gives you a bird's eye view of different chapters and how Panchadasi comes in and presents the whole Vedanta very beautifully. So second chapter is 109 verses, which talks about Mahabhuta Viveka. So first one is Tattva Viveka. The Tattva means there is a reality which is behind the whole universe, and that is discussed and analyzed. Mahabhuta Viveka is again another methodology where 5 elements are analyzed. Then 4 major Upanishads are taken up for analysis. Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka, Shvetashvatara, Taittiriya Upanishad. Chapter 3 we have completed, 43 verses, is focused on the Panchakoshas. Chapter 10 we have finished, Nataka Deepa Prakaranam, 26 verses, focused on one mantra of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. See, you can see how Vidyaranya takes up a few mantras of the Upanishads and builds up a whole prakriya, a methodology to reveal the truth. We are doing now Dvaita Viveka, and the 5th chapter is Mahavakya Viveka. After the 4th chapter, I'll be doing the 5th chapter, which is 8 verses. 4 Upanishads are taken, Mahavakyas are taken. It's a very, very beautiful section. The central section of the entire Brahma Vidya is the Mahavakya portion. So that is going to be taken up next after chapter 4. Mangalacharanam is the first verse of the 1st chapter. And generally we chant this verse so that we remember the guru of the Panchadasi-Lecture Swami. And he says in the Mangalacharanam, in the first verse, he says, Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane Savilasa Mahamoha Graha Graseke Karmane. What does this mean? It means that this entire work which he is about to present is with the blessings of his guru who has taught him Brahma Vidya. And who has blessed him with purity of mind to reveal the truth. You see, it is not easy to reveal the truth. And it is only through the words of the scriptures which we have to understand our nature. Each chapter of Panchadasi can be studied independently. That is why I have taken up different chapters, and I am trying to do whatever is easy first and then go on to some difficult chapters. There is no connection between each chapter. Each chapter has its own thought flow. There are 15 chapters in Panchadasi. You can start with any chapters in many schools, like in Sandipani School of Chinmaya Mission. They take a few chapters, not all the 15 chapters. And they analyze, try to understand the truth. Prakarana means, you see, a topic, whereas Shastra means a complete elaboration of all the topics of Vedanta. This is the difference between Prakarana, Grantha, and Shastra. So if you study the Shastra means like Bhagavad Gita, like, it has got the complete, it is complete by nature. All the topics related to Brahma Vidya is there in Bhagavad Gita, in Upanishads. That is why it's called as a Shastra. Textbooks like these, Panchadasi and all that, they take certain topics and then they discuss. That is why it is called as Prakarana Grantha. Vivek Chudamani is also a Prakarana Grantha. Tattva-bodha, these are all Prakarana Granthas. Essential topics in Vedanta are Adhikari Nirnaya. Who is a qualified aspirant of this knowledge? The second aspect which is discussed is in major texts, these are the topics which are discussed. Guru Upasadanam means reaching a guru. What is the nature of the guru? How does he teach? Is he a Shrotra Brahmanishtaha? Shrotriya means he is well versed in the scriptures. Brahmanishta means he's standing firm to the truth and he has got a communication skill. That is a guru. And in what attitude one should reach the guru? That is also explained in some of these. If you understand, if you remember the Bhagavad Gita, all this is there. And what is the Upadesha? Upadesha means what is the teaching? There are three aspects of the teaching. Who am I? Which is the Tvam Pada Vichara. What is the second topic in teaching? What is this world and who is the God? Who is the creator? That is what is called as Tat Pada Vichara. In Vedanta, God and world are not separate. God himself is appearing as the world. World is manifestation of God. Jagadishwara. See, there is a God called Jagadishwara. It is the Ishwara of the Jagat. So basically, the second topic we normally you see, this is also, all this will tell us how do I analyze the whole universe. And this is the methodology. You see, this is a systematic study. Three topics. Who am I? That means, first of all, I must know who am I. Tvam Pada Vichara. In Tvam Pada, there is a Vachyartha, Lakshyartha. Vachyartha means what is normally known as me, I. But what is the indicative meaning of I? That is consciousness. What is this world? What is the Vachyartha? Vachyartha means what is direct meaning. Direct meaning of this Jagat, or direct meaning of God. God means a creator. But what is the indirect meaning? Lakshyartha. Lakshyartha of God is consciousness. The consciousness in the Tvam-pada, the consciousness in God is the same. That is the third vichara, which is called as Aikya Vichara. Aikya Vichara means you try to understand what is common between God and man. So, identity of Jiva and Ishwara is Tattvamasi Jnanam, or Aham Brahmasmi Jnanam, or Prajnanam Brahma Jnanam. This is what is called as Mahavakya Vichara. In Vivek Chudamani, there is no Jagat Vichara. So, it is not a Shastra by itself. That is why it is a Prakarana. Some topics are taken. The Jiva is analyzed very well in Vivek Chudamani. Panchakoshas, the three Sharirams, if you have studied the Vivek Chudamani, it is a Prakarana Grantha. The whole Jagat is not independent of Ishwara. This is how Vedanta presents the world. Ishwara must be present when you experience the world. The world is the gross body of Ishwara, the subtle body of Ishwara, and the causal body of Ishwara. See, this is how world, the Jagat, has to be understood clearly by me. When we do the first 13 verses of this chapter, you will become very clear what I'm trying to tell you now, because we are going to study the creation in very, very big detail. Sadhanas are three types of sadhanas: shravanam, mananam, nididhyasana. What is shravanam? Upadesha, hearing the Upadesha. Listening to the scriptural text is shravanam. Mananam is I reflect and clear the doubts in my mind. Third, nididhyasana means I remove the contradictory notions which are deeply ingrained in my personality. How do we do that? Through meditation. Every Wednesday session, we have a meditation session. 10 minutes. What do I do in that session? I remove the notion I am the Jiva. Jiva Bhava is taken out, and what is the notion I bring in? Aham Brahmasmi. I bring in the bhava, I am the sakshi of the mind. These are the two things which I replace with my jiva bhava. That is what is called as nididhyasana. These are all systematically developed techniques in our Shastra. What is the final benefit of all the study about myself, the Panchakoshas, the Jagat, and why do I get into all these details? And the two main benefits they talk about is Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. So these are the 5 topics: Adhikari, Guru Upasadanam, Upadesha, Sadhanas, and Phalam. And what is the difference between nididhyasana and samadhi? Samadhi is a yoga discipline, and samadhi is chitta vritti nirodha. All thoughts you try to remove, good, bad, everything you try to remove. That is yoga method of samadhi. What is Vedantic nididhyasana? Deliberately you bring in sakshi bhavana or Brahma bhavana, which is called as Vedantic meditation, which is what we do in our Wednesday sessions. And Aikyam, the oneness, you can only achieve after listening to the scriptures for a certain length of time. First of all, you have to listen more and more and more. Listen to the Shastra correctly. And once you have listened properly, then there is a doubt clarification. Advaita Makaranta is a beautiful text. We have done this in the past to this group, Wednesday group. I have taken it up before. It deals with only doubts. Therefore, it is a text for manana. There are very, very specialized texts for manana. Vichara Sagara, all those advanced texts are all very good for manana. They give you logic, they give you explanations, why this is possible, why this is not correct. All that is only for doubt clearance. How can that pure consciousness be my nature is the doubt of every student. How do I remove the body consciousness? So any topical text is prakarana grantha, and anything which is all encompassing is shastra. What deals with all the 5 topics which we have discussed in the previous one: adhikari, guru upasadanam, upadesha, sadhana, and phalam. That is what is called as shastra. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sangraha deals with all the 5 topics. It is also by Adi Shankaracharya. All the Upanishads are Shastra Grantha. Ishavasya, Keno Upanishad, Aitreya Upanishad, they all deal in some way with all these 5 topics. Gita, as I explained to you, is the essence of all the Upanishads. It is a Shastra Grantha. Gita Dhyana Shlokas, what does it say? All the Upanishads, the essence of that is in the Gita. This particular shloka, number 4, Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dokta Kopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Duktam Gitamritam Mahate. Upanishad is the cow, Krishna is the cow herd, and the milk which the cowherd draws from the cows is the Bhagavad Gita. Is compared, the milk is compared to the Shastra, Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Sutra is again a Shastra. It takes the Upanishadic Vakyas and strings them into a garland and covers all the aspects. Very, very beautiful, but it takes a long time to study Brahma Sutra. Veda Vyasa took 10 Upanishads in his wisdom. Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashno, Mundak, Mandokya, Taitriya, Aitareya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. These are all taken up in detail by Shankaracharya in his Bhashya. And Vyasacharya has presented, like I said, the whole Brahma Sutra, if you study properly, it will be these 5 topics only. All the Prasthana Trayam is as Shastra, Gita, Upanishad, and Brahma Sutra. To summarize, Prakarana means topic from Prasthana Trayam. Shastra means coverage of 5 topics which I have discussed. Now, what is the connection between 1, 2, 3, 4? The first chapter of Panchadasi, Dvaita Viveka, presents important principles of Vedanta, which is Jiva Brahma Aikya. The second chapter uses the same and shows us that Brahman is the ultimate reality. Panchakosha Viveka deals with the same 5 koshas and shows us how to see Satyam Jnanam Anantam as my real nature, which we just completed last week. Dvaita Viveka Prakaranam is chapter 4, which we are going to start now, which we are going to do now. It might take 3-4 months because this is it's a big text, 69 verses, and I will not be rushing. I'll be doing it slowly. Experiencer, experienced, subject, object. That is what is called as plurality. And this is what is called as duality. Subject is different, object is different. Trying to go into the depth of the subject, trying to go into the depth of the object is called as Dvaita Viveka. Understanding the realm of plurality in the world. What do you mean by understanding or Viveka? Viveka means differentiating clearly that this is what is Atma, this is Anatma, this is the subject, this is the object, and why do we say it is non-dual? That clarity we must get. That is the objective behind this 4th chapter. If you ask the question, who can create the world? The first answer is the world cannot create itself. World cannot create itself. The Panchabhutas, can it create itself? No. There has to be a sentient being. A sentient being can create. A table cannot create another table. A chair cannot create another chair. But a sentient being knows how to cut the wood and make a table. Suppose you ask who constructed the house. Can we say that the cements constructed the house? No. The bricks constructed the house? No. Inert can't create. We need to create the chair, we need a carpenter. To create a bangle, we need a goldsmith. The inert cannot organize themselves to produce something. This is quite clear. It's very simple. Chairs, tables, they cannot clear themselves. They cannot create themselves. Therefore, we need to have a sentient being for creation. That sentient being in Vedanta is called as the creator. There are two types of creators in the world. One is the Jiva, another is the Ishwara. Jiva does certain creations, Ishwara does certain creations. The creation and the creator, there is a Dwitham. That is what we are going to analyze. The Jiva Srishti, how do I compare, how do I differentiate the Jiva Srishti, what the Jiva creates with what Ishwara creates? Why do I do this analysis? Because this helps me to understand who am I. Ishwara definitely has created the Jagat, but I have not created the Jagat. I have only created a lot of problems in life. Maybe a small here and there, I might have created a few things, but that is negligible. What Ishwara has created is see the whole cosmos. So the problem is understanding our own creation compared to Ishwara's creation. Jiva creation is a cause of samsara. That is the essence of this whole chapter. Ishwara's creation is not the cause of bondage. And Jiva means I am that Jiva, and I need to understand what is this samsara which is created by me. With my own mind, I am creating a samsara, a bondage, which I have to drop. So with this small introduction, I will now get straight into the first verse of chapter 4. In short, the whole chapter 4 covers the nature of our mind, our mind's projections, our mind's ignorance about our nature. How Vidyaranya brings this so beautifully in this 69 verses, we will see. This chanting has been done by Vijaya. She is one of the students from Texas. She is right now based in the US. I really thank her for all the verse chantings so that we can understand these verses better. She is a very good chanter of Sanskrit, and she has done a marvelous job in chanting these verses. So you will be hearing throughout this entire Panchadasi. I hope she can continue sending me the verses of her chantings.
Chaturtho Adhyayah Panchadashi Shloka 1.
Let me see.
Ishwarena Chaturtho Adhyayah Panchadashi Shloka 1. Ishwarenapi jivena srishtham dvaitam vivichyate viveke sati jivena heyo bandhah sputi bhavet.
The first verse is an introduction. Ishwarena pi jivena shrishtam dvaitam vivichyate. I shall clearly explain to you the duality created by Ishwara and Jiva. That is what Vidyaranya is saying in the first verse. He is just telling us what he is going to cover in this chapter. And what is the phalam for this? If I know this, by studying this, what is the benefit I will get? The benefit is my bondage which is caused by attaching myself or thinking I am the Jiva Bhavana is renounced. If I know that this is my creation. See, ultimately I am sufferer. Now who is suffering? It is the Jiva. If I see the Lord's creation, then I am not the sufferer. I only enjoy the Lord's creation. So if I want to remove the samsara, the sorrow in my life, I should first of all understand, is this sorrow created by God or is it created by me? If I have this clear distinction, then I will be able to sort out what is my problem. Ishwara api jivena. Ishwara and Jiva, Shrishtam. Creation is there by both of them. And what is the creation? Dvaita. Dvaita means what? Variety, duality, plurality in the world. Vivichyate. Vivichyate means what? I learn to differentiate. And viveke sati. If I am able to clearly understand this difference between the two, jivena heya bandhaha sputivave. That bondage which is there in me today, I can put an end to that. And what is how does it come to an end? Only by understanding clearly how I am the originator of the Jiva Shrishti. With my own mind, I'm creating bondage in this body. I remove this bondage. What is there in the world then? Only Ishwara Shrishti. If only Ishwara Shrishti is there, it's fantastic because it is continuously going on. I am a Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means what? I don't give importance to my own creation. I only am a witness to the Lord's creation. Before the study, I didn't know that I was creating some trouble for myself. But having understood this chapter, you will remove that notion that all the problems are not created. It is not intrinsic to me. Today, I feel that all the problems, everything is all intrinsic to me. It is me. I am suffering. I am suffering. I am suffering. How to remove this bondage is clearly mentioned here. And once we have this, understand this cosmic order, then our ignorance about ourselves is gone. That is what is the objective behind this whole study of this fourth chapter. Many a times we doubt if there is an Ishwara at all or not, because we are not able to see Ishwara with a certain form. Ishwara is described as the cause of this entire universe in the Upanishads. But who has created the bandha? Bandha means the bondage. It is not Ishwara who has created the bandha, it is the Jiva. There is no bondage in Ishwara Srishti, there is only bondage in Jiva Srishti. Very, very important point. We must understand. Once we have understood this, then the whole chapter study becomes easy because you have a clear understanding why we are studying this chapter. If the purpose of study of the chapter is known, then every verse, slowly, it will start building up a full picture. By the end of this study of this chapter, you will say, oh, I understand the problem and I know how to remove the problem. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha mattha smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarverahameva vedyaha Vedanta kritvam dvidhyasana. 15th chapter, the 15th verse. The Lord says very clearly here, Sarvasya, in every heart, in every intellect, I am there as the memory in the mind. I am the knowledge in the mind. If you want to know me, go to your mind and check. Do you have knowledge? Yes, that knowledge, Lord says, is my knowledge. I am that knowledge. If I understand that that is Bhagavan, then it becomes very clear. Oh, the Lord is there in me also. If I attach to that Lord, which he is saying, Lord Krishna is saying, the Lord is responsible for the memory. Lord is responsible for the lack of memory. Lord is responsible for the knowledge also. In the suppose you say, I have an excellent memory, I can chant the whole Bhagavad Gita, 701 verses. It is not your own credit, but it is the Lord's credit. How do we tend to forget so many things in life? So many irrelevant things we want to forget. Who helps us to forget things also? Isn't there somebody? It is the Lord. So the Lord is responsible both for ignorance and also knowledge, both for memory as well as retention of memory. Lack of memory and retention of memory, both he is illumining. Jnanam, memory, forgetfulness, everything comes from Ishwara. So Ishwara Srishti, we don't have to worry about it. We only have to look at the bondage which is caused by us. The whole topic becomes very clear. Sfuti bhavet. Shastra functions as a pramanam. You see, Shastra means what? It is a book of knowledge, telling me how to read myself properly, how to look at the world properly. It is a pramanam. It is an instrument to be used by me. So the Shastra, we have to take it as a means of knowledge to remove our ignorance about our own self. Then this text will work for me. Okay, so that is the quick, I have put some notes for revision for those who want to revise later on. But this is in just the first mantra, the gist of the first mantra. You may have studied the Anubandha Chatushtayam for some senior students who have been studying Vedanta for quite some time. You may have studied what is Adhikari, Vishaya, Sambandha, Prayojanam. All these four topics are covered in the first mantra. How they are covered, I have explained it here. You can just read it, you will understand. It's very beautiful analysis of the first verse covers why we should study, who is the adhikari. The adhikari is the one who wants to end his bondage. What is the Vishaya? Vishaya is the Jiva Ishwara Srishti. How will this, what is the Sambandha? How will this text help me? The text is a source of knowledge. And it is got a connection with Dvaita Viveka, clarity. Once I have clarity, what happens? The prayojanam. The prayojanam is I get rid of my bondage. So all the four topics, which is called as Anubandha Chatushtayam, whenever somebody writes a text, he always has these four topics in his mind. Who is the adhikari? What is the Vishaya? What is the Sambandha between the Vishaya and the Prayojanam? And the last is, what exactly is the Prayojanam? Okay, so the first verse is quite clear. With this, now we go to the second verse. Just a bit of background from second verse to the 13th verse. Okay, we are going to discuss Srishti, creation. More detailed analysis we'll see next week. But I want to explain to you, every Upanishad will talk about creation. But there is not a single place where you can discuss creation mentioned in all the Upanishads or 5 major Upanishads in one place. Generally, we don't find this at all. I have studied so many texts. Creation is generally discussed, nimitta karanam, upadana karanam, and all that we have studied. But different Upanishads, how they talk about creation in one place, it is this chapter, verse number 2 to 13. You will find 5 Upanishads, how they cover Srishti, creation, how 5 Upanishads are covering Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, how each of these Upanishads, they cover Srishti. Vidyaranya brings it into this section, the first section. Very beautiful section. If you go through this quickly, once we have gone through it, then you will appreciate the beauty of Panchadasi. So 5 Upanishads, 6 Upanishads we will be covering. In all these 13 verses, there are 140 pages notes up to the 13th verse. Almost 100 pages are there. But very beautiful section. It's in one place you will find Srishti, creation. Once you have gone through this, you see Vidyaranya has got a beautiful depth in his analysis. By the end of this, he will tell us this is the Jiva Srishti, this is the overall Ishwara Srishti. This section is Ishwara Srishti. How Ishwara is required and how the creation takes place. I will get started on this next week because it is a slightly, I want to do it at a time when we can go through at least 1 or 2 verses completely, so that you can enjoy the nature of Srishti. Before that, today, before closing today, I want to explain to you, why do we need God to explain the universe? In Taittiriya Upanishad, Shankaracharya, very brilliantly, he says There are 7 reasons. You see, we study so much about Brahman, 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 Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. That Brahman is me. That is called as Prajnanam. And in Taittiriya Upanishad, Shankaracharya takes up the analysis of in 2 Anuvakas, in 6th and 7th Anuvaka of Taittiriya Upanishad. Anuvaka means it's a verse, it's a paragraph. In the 6th paragraph of the 2nd chapter and the 7th one, he says, he takes in that 7 reasons why Brahman must exist in this world. What are the 7 reasons? I will just give it to you in a short brief in 5 minutes, but if you want to go to the detail, you have to study that. If you want to a little bit more analysis, then I'll have to explain to you about that bhashya. Now, Brahma, the first reason why Brahma, see, the question is asked by a student in Taittiriya Upanishad. Does Brahman exist or Brahman doesn't exist? To which Shankaracharya says, Brahman exists. Reason number 1. Brahma asti jagataha nimitta karanatvat. I am explaining to you the Sanskrit. I'll also tell you the reason in English. Brahman exists because he is the intelligent cause of this universe. The universe is Panchabhutas. It cannot create by itself. There is a sentient being, which is a cosmic being, Purushaha, Hiranyagarbha, Ishwara, who is a sentient being. Nimitta Karan is the intelligent cause behind the universe. Number 1. Number 2, Brahma asti upadana karanatvat. Upadana karana means material cause. There needs to be a cause for the universe, and somebody has to create that material. The material cause for this Jagat is Panchabhutas, but there is a creator of that material. So the second reason is Brahma asti upadana karanatvat. Third, Brahma asti jiva rupena vartamanatvat. Why do we say Brahman exists? Because jivas are there. You and I are there. If there was no Brahman, there was no sentient being, I and you will not be there. If you see so many jivas who are sentient beings, there has to be a cause. There has to be one sentient who is reflecting in all these human minds as individual jivas. Third reason is Jiva Rupena. First is Nimitta Karana. Second is Upadana Karana. Third is Jiva Rupena. The fourth reason. Brahma Asti Achetana Sharira Cheshta Darshanat. See, I see my body is acting. My body, the hands are moving, the legs are walking, my mouth is talking. Now the body is achetana, but it is performing a function. Who is responsible for the different functions, the cheshta of the body? There has to be an activator. If you remember Keno Upanishad, people, who is the activator of this body? That sentient principle is the life principle, which is the activator of this body. Fourth reason, Shankaracharya says, Brahma asti ananda hetutvena vartamanatva. Brahman is the cause of bliss or joy which we experience in this world. All of us experience joy. Who is the cause? Ananda. I feel happy. There must be a principle of happiness. That Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. happiness is the nature of that pure Brahman. Without that happiness, individual happiness can never come. So if I am able to have happiness, experience happiness, it is the reflection of that happiness in my mind. Then there is a very another very different type of thinking which Shankaracharya gives. The sixth reason, Brahma asti jnanina abhaya karanatva. You see, jnani means a wise person. He is fearless. Why is he fearless? Because he knows my nature as Brahman. Why is ajnani fearful? Because he thinks that he is the Jiva. This fear factor which one experiences, who is that cause of that fear? That cause is Brahma. That is the sixth reason. That the jnanina abhaya karanam is sixth, and the seventh is ajnanina bhaya karanam. So wise person is fearless. Ignorant person is fearful. So these are the 7 reasons Shankaracharya says there has to be one sentient being which is the cause of this entire universe. If you study the Taittiriya Upanishad, the 6th and the 7th Anuvakas, you will understand the depth of these 7 reasons. Taittiriya Upanishad, 2nd chapter, Brahmanandavalli. Normally, in our Upanishad classes, we focus only on the 5 elements creation, and we say that Lord is the creator who created this, who Atmana. From Atma only these 5 elements are coming. From the 5 elements, the whole Jagat comes. That is what we understand as in Taittiriya Upanishad, as a central portion of Taittiriya. But Shankaracharya's commentary, Bhashya, when you study, you go to the depth of that. Why I'm bringing it here is creation, which we are going to study from 2nd verse to 13th verse. You must have a strong belief that there is a creator, which is called as Brahman. And if you have that as the basis with these 7 reasons, then you can expand on these verses from 2nd to 13th. Okay, so 5 Upanishads we are going to cover. Shrishti Prakaranam, creation taught in 5 Upanishads. Each Upanishad will give, Vidyaranya picks up the 5 Upanishads and takes the juice out of those verses and says, this is creation. And how he says there is 2 creators, Jiva as well as Ishwara. Okay, what is the cause of Jiva's Shrishti? What is the cause of this Ishwara Shrishti is our topic from next week onwards. With this, I close today's session on Panchadasi, chapter 4. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. There's nothing in the chat box, so you can ask the questions. Preeti has asked, raised her hand. Yeah, Preeti, tell me what would you like to ask?
Yes, Shekharji, thank you for wonderful session. Could you kindly elaborate this point that you have mentioned about Jagat, physical manifestation, and you said three aspects. So I would like to understand that more.
The physical manifestation of Jagat.
Yes, yes.
See, Jagat is something which is experienced by us in our state of mind. You see, there is no Jagat in sleep. So when my mind is awake, because of the consciousness which is reflected in the mind, that is the life principle. That life principle is always there, whether the world is seen or is not seen. So manifest condition, or there is a manifest condition of the world, there is an unmanifest condition of the world. This is the most important point when you want to learn about Jagat. Very important point in Vedanta is, I must appreciate this fact. In my own experience, I should experience that in the sleep state, there is no Jagat experienced, and that state is called as unmanifest condition of Jagat, which is called as Maya, which is called as avidya, which is called as karana shariram, which is something which, if I don't know the real nature of that state, causal state properly, and what lies beyond that causal state is this sakshi. So when I say that you have to understand the nature of Jagat as manifest, unmanifest, you should understand that the whole world is only is manifest in what? It is manifest in my mind. You see, that is where the Jiva Shrishti will come. Maybe when we learn this fourth chapter, you will understand this a little bit better. But in the broader aspect, what you should understand is Jagat has got two conditions. Whole world, the whole world. And this is the most important point we should pick up in our learning of our spiritual nature. My spiritual nature is pure consciousness in which there is no Jagat, in which there is no body, there is no manana, there is no mind, but it exists. What about the Jagat? The Jagat depends on this pure consciousness for its appearance. How? Only when my consciousness gets reflected in the mind, through the mind, the whole world appears. And through the mind, the whole world gets into a laya condition, a resolved condition. Are you able to appreciate this?
Yes, but you also mentioned three types: gross, subtle, and causal.
Yes.
Manifestation.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Okay. In Tattva Bodha, we learn that there is a gross body, subtle body, and causal body for the individual. When we study the world, we can only study the world when, like we have like we have gross, subtle, and causal nature for a jiva who is in this body. Similarly, I have to see the Ishwara, the creator, also existing in the cosmic body with three prapanchas: gross, subtle, and causal. The gross prapancha is what the sense organs can perceive. Like in the gross body, the sense organs can perceive the gross body. Similarly, for the prapancha, like I have a mind, there is a mind function which is attached to the world, which is cosmic mind. That is called as subtle prapancha. Like I have subtle body, it's called subtle prapancha. Totality, the total mind. And when we study this Upanishad, the creation, we are going to go into the depth of these. And then Vidyaranya, in the 13th verse of the 4th chapter, he will say, this is what is Jiva, this is what is Ishwara. So now to answer your question, a human mind can only understand the way it functions. And the Veda says, the way you understand your own nature, understand Ishwara's nature also in the same way. Ishwara has a gross body, Ishwara has a subtle body. The subtle body is in charge of all the devatas, all the functions, all the laws which are governing the universe. They're all the inner, like the devatas are controllers of the different objects in creation. Prithvi Devata, Agni Devata, Indra Devata, Prajapati Devata, all these are all different devatas. But who is the controller of all the devatas? That is called as Ishwara. Ishwara is a technical name for the causal body, causal prapancha of the cosmos. So like you have for the physical body, gross, subtle, and causal, similarly, you can also imagine for the whole cosmos, there is gross, subtle, and causal. The causal nature of the whole universe is the cosmic, complete. For example, the whole Srishti has got the punya papas of all the jivas. And then the Srishti is created. That is the Karana Prapancha. Jiva is only responsible for his body, his mind, that's all. That is the individual, very finite. Whereas the gross body of the Ishvara, each creation is different because it caters to the joy and sorrow, fructification, law of karma, depending on the jivas of that Srishti. Dwapara Srishti, different Srishtis are there. According to the Vedas, when you study the Puranas, especially the Bhagavatam, you will find so many details there. But here, to understand your question, the answer is, imagine the way you have your own, you are a jiva in this body. That jiva doesn't have any nature of male or female. It is only a reflection, a spark of that consciousness. That's all. That jiva has to understand, I am only a spark of the consciousness, which is the totality. Mundaka Upanishad very clearly says that jiva is a spark, that fire is Brahman, that whole, from where the spark comes. And that spark, each one of us can experience it in your own mind. Whenever I am thinking, that power of thinking is called as sentiency. That is why I slowly am bringing up the topic of sentiency in the creation and all that. You'll find it. It'll come very slowly. It'll come. But have I answered your question?
Yes, Shekharji. Thank you very much.
Okay, good. Vijaya is asking, I know somebody was going to ask me this question. Can you elaborate on Brahman Asti, points 3 and 4? Point 3 is that Brahman Asti because it is appearing as the Jiva. Reflection of that Brahman in this body is the Jiva, which is the reflected consciousness. That is what is the pure nature of the Jiva. But today it is mixed up with the reflecting material, which is the mind. And the Jiva consists of three portions. Number one, original consciousness, Paramatma. Second, the reflection of that consciousness is the second constituent. The third constituent is the reflecting material. The reflecting material is the mind with all its problems. You know, that mind has got the causal nature of Karana Sharira. So, Shankaracharya says that right now I am saying Brahma Asti. There is pure consciousness because there is a reflection. That reflection is Jiva. Jiva wants to know who am I. So Shankaracharya says Jiva Rupena Brahma Asti. Because Jiva is what? Sentient. It is not inert. If it was inert, it will not ask the question, who am I? Pure consciousness is the nature of the Jiva. The Jiva drops that mind and says, oh, I am now the pure consciousness, the sentient principle. Very, very important. This is how you have to go and dissect your mind in meditation and say, this is the Jiva portion. This is the correct Jiva portion. Pure consciousness, if the Jiva knows how to get attached to and remain, that is what we remain in meditation. When I say remain in your consciousness means what? You are not attached to the mind material. It is the mind material which is throwing up the thoughts. So Jiva Rupena, as I, everybody has this feeling, aham. That is the life. So Jiva Rupena Brahma Asti is Shankaracharya's third reason. And the fourth reason is this Jiva, the function of that reflected consciousness in this body is it makes all the organs operate inside. It makes the heart operate, the lungs operate, adhyatmika, all the organs, it makes the body chetanam. Achetana Sharira Cheshta Darshanat. This is Sanskrit meaning. Brahma Asti Achetana Sharira Cheshta Darshanat. I see the body is acting. I see the body can run. But what is that principle which makes the body run and not the table run? Table and body is the same Panchabhutas. But there is something in this body which makes it different. That is what is my search. And that is what Shankaracharya says, Brahma Asti Achetan Sharira Cheshtasara. That means whenever I'm experiencing the motion, even thinking is a motion, is a movement in consciousness. There is that principle which makes the body active. So that is the fourth reason, which is what Shankaracharya says, Brahma Asti Achetana Sharira Cheshta Darshana. It is, I can see the movement of an inert body. That is a reason for me to accept there is some principle which is not the inert principle, it is sentient principle. And through these 7 reasons, my intellect says, I accept Brahma Asti. When my intellect is convinced there is a principle called a sentient principle, then my intellect can drop the inert nature and it is directly in the mind itself, I realize Aham Brahmasmi. That is the final teaching of Shankaracharya. Through the Panchakoshas, he is arriving at the Brahma Asti, because the student is asking a question: is Brahman existing or it doesn't exist? Because my sense organs are not able to see Brahman. But through these 7 reasons, if you try to go through these 7 reasons slowly yourself, and you will say, yes, I accept. There is a sentient principle. That sentient principle is Brahman. That sentient principle is non-dual. This is the most important teaching of Taittiriya Upanishad. Very clearly, Shankaracharya brings out that in Bhashyam, in the commentary, brings out this beautiful message and says, when you say Aham Brahmasmi, it means not the body, not the mind. It is this consciousness alone which exists. When you are sleeping, that consciousness doesn't change. When you're awake, that consciousness doesn't change. That consciousness, which is a witness of your ignorance, that is your real nature. That is where, how deep you have to go into your intellect, through your analysis. Only through your mind, you have to go logically and understand the 7 reasons. You will, without fail, come and say, Aham Brahmasmi is clear. Very, very beautiful dialogue. Very nice. I may not be able to go into very big depths, but that is what I can say today. Vijay, does it make some sense?
Hari Om Shekharji, I think it makes good sense, because I was trying to relate it to the Drisha Viveka Stotra, number 20.
This is
Priyam Rupam Nama Chetam. So you're trying to link the actually the words which you were explaining today about the Tvam Tattvamasi, Samashti and Vyashti, both are actually, he is seeing the same Jiva where the Tattva of consciousness is same as in the. So I was just confused, because Upadana and Nimitta Karana is also, the reflection is nothing but that only.
Now
mind is nothing but the material of the Upadana. So that's the reason I was wanting that clarification. Thank you very much.
Good, very good. I'm glad that you're able to pick up, because these are very intricate, very deep topics in Vedanta. Yeah, Sumana, you have a question? I can't hear you.
Yes. Hari Om, thank you so much for today's lesson. So mine is again, I think, a very today's topic and almost very similar discussion. So I understand Brahman associated with Maya is Ishwara, and it's almost like synonymous, right? Brahman and Ishwara's.
Yes.
So I think I understand that, but when it comes to Bhagavad Gita chapter 11, and Krishna shows the Vishwarupa Darshana to Arjuna, and he says, I'm the past, present, and the future, and everything is in me. So does that is that Ishwara or Brahma? I know they are the same, but is it like he's saying, I am that Ishwara because I am that creation? Do we say it as Ishwara, or do we say, yes, I am that creation, and I am the substratum also? So how does he say that? Like, a little confused with that.
Okay.
What does he show? Is it the Ishwara Rupa, or is it like I am the Brahman unmanifest, or I am the manifest, which is
good. Okay, very brilliant question. I mean, it's okay. Let's take the example of waking and dream. Okay, if you understand the waking and dream, then you can understand the Brahman and waking. Okay, this is the comparison. Waker and dream world experience, Brahman and waking world experience. This is what we are going to do now. As a waker, when you have come out of the dream, what will you say? I am the material cause. That means I created that dream, right? So that is what you will say. I am the material cause, I am the intelligent cause also, because in the dream, who was the seer? The seer is the intelligent cause, sentient principle. All the things which I saw in the dream is also the matter principle. Both manifest matter and the unmanifest, the seer, both were me only. Okay. Now, Lord Krishna represents Brahman as Ishwara. Brahman is the Nirguna Tattva, pure consciousness in which there is no creation, because he has that power of Maya Shakti. When the Maya Shakti is manifest, he can say the creation belongs, I am the one behind this creation of the waking world. When the manifest is not, when the Maya Shakti is not manifesting, then he is all alone as the pure Brahman without any manifestation. When the manifestation is there, he can say, I am the sakshi. And the world is the sakshyam. But when the world is not seen, as in our sleep state, what happens? The manifest and the unmanifest, the world has gone into unmanifest condition in the sleep. The waking world has gone into unmanifest condition. But there is a seer of that unmanifest condition, which is the sakshi. But that Brahman cannot be called as sakshi also when there is no world around. This point you should you should accept, your intellect should be able to accept it and say, that is why we say it is non-dual. World depends on Ishwara, but Ishwara doesn't depend on the world. Ishwara can remain without the world. When Ishwara remains without the world, it is called as Brahman, which is pure consciousness. When the world is seen, then we are actually seeing the world with the help of our body. It is Deha Abhimana. With Deha Abhimana, we will say that the Ishwara is the creator. Suppose I remove this Deha Abhimana, I become a Sakshi. As a Sakshi, what will I say? Then the world is manifesting, it is unmanifesting. That is exactly what my nature is in sleep. As Sakshi, suppose you start saying, you are able to appreciate, I am the Sakshi of the world when it is in the unmanifest condition. I am the Sakshi of the world, it is in manifest condition also. I am the changeless Sakshi. That changeless Sakshi is called as Brahman. There is a slight difference. When the world is around, you take it as Ishwara. The same Lord Krishna, he says Kshetrajnam and Kshetra. Know the difference between Kshetra and Kshetrajna. The one who knows the difference is the one who knows my real nature. Kshetrajna is the seer, experiencer of the world. Kshetram is the field of experience, waking world, dream world, sleep world. So these three are the Kshetram, including the Ahamkara. That is also a part of the Kshetram. Kshetrajna is the reflected consciousness which is going and experiencing the world. But Kshetra and Kshetrajna are, Kshetrajna is there only with reference to Kshetra. The experiencer of the world We call it the experiencer only when the world is there. When the waking world, dream world, sleep world is there, we call it Kshetrajna. But the same Kshetrajna is called as Brahman. Then it is not referred to a particular objective experience. When you drop the objective experience, that pure subject is Brahman myself. Is the Lord. That is why we say that the Lord and the Jiva, they are the one consciousness principle, which we are in our sleep state. We are all one and joining to that truth. But that truth we don't know today. The Veda is telling me, drop this ahamkara, drop this vachyartha, the ahamkara. Drop the ahamkara vachyartha and say you are sakshi. As sakshi, you are Brahman. That's all. So the Mahavakya is Twampada and Tatpada, you have to join, and then in any of your analysis, you have to do this to reach Brahma. Mahavakya analysis must be done by your own intellect. You should be able to say, once your intellect has done it once, then it is very easy. You can always abide in your nature very fast. Once your intellect has been able to have a glimpse of that pure consciousness in your own mind, then it is very easy. You don't need anything else. You don't need tatpada vichara, tompada vichara. You just close your eyes. You're one with that pure consciousness. So
it's like saying that the essence in that Ishwara and the essence in this Jiva are one and the same. That's Brahman.
Exactly.
And okay, and even in the chapter 11, it's like Krishna is a sakshi for, he says, I am the sakshi for the unmanifest form as well as the manifest creation,
That's
the past,
correct.
present, and the future.
He says in the 10th chapter, he says, this is my glory. He gives all the vibhutis. When he shows the vibhutis, ultimately what he's saying is, one consciousness, me, Lord Krishna, is now got all these vibhutis, means what? Everything belongs to this conscious, this Lord Krishna. And this one Lord Krishna is one consciousness. That is how in Vedanta we interpret it. Lord Krishna's form is only Brahman's form in that battlefield. It is, you can call it, it is only a pictorial representation of that pure consciousness in this form of Lord Krishna. So it is one consciousness which has got all the glories which you see. That is the 10th chapter. That consciousness or pure existence, that is what is the 10th chapter with all the glories. All the glories belong to what? Because without this consciousness, there is no world. You should be, this is the point you should take from the 10th chapter. World, the glories, when Lord Krishna says, these are my glories, what it means is, without me, the consciousness, these glories you can't see. Because it is that consciousness which he's trying to show to Arjuna, there is one principle. In the whole 10th and the 11th chapter, what he is trying to say is this pure consciousness. He wants Arjuna to understand what he said in the 2nd chapter, 20th verse. Na jayate na mriyate va kadachit. That consciousness never has a birth, never has a death. That consciousness is what is the world. Because if this is a substratum, it is changeless, then that is immortal. And in the 11th chapter, he says, now you have seen one consciousness as many. That is the 10th chapter. One seen as many, one Krishna seen as many vibhutis. But in the 11th chapter, he shows to Arjuna many in one.
Yeah.
Many, that means the whole world, Vishwarupa, is in one consciousness. That is, see, that is why Bhagavad Gita is brilliant in this 10th and 11th chapter if you understand it from the Vedantic point of view. You see, don't get carried away by there were 1,000 suns and all that. You know, that is all pictorial representation of the truth. Many people get lost and they forget Vedanta. You know, so keep the Vedanta in the background whenever you study anything and see whether everybody is talking of the same truth, which is Brahma. In whatever you study in Vedanta, in anything, whether you do Vedantic meditation or you study Aparoksha Anubhuti or Brahma Sutra or any Upanishad, the focus of the mind should be, I have learned Upanishads, I have learned about Brahman. Can my mind think in terms of that and open up every verse? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
These are very, very deep questions and it's taking time to explain. Okay, Brahman Vijay is giving an answer to your question. Both of you are in USA, you can talk to each other, exchange your numbers. Vijaya, you're in Texas, she is in Boston. Sumana, very good. I can see the explanation here. It's very similar to what I have expressed just now. Is there any other question?
Yeah, Shekharji, I have a question, Hariom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, these are not questions, they're more of confusions which are coming in my way of thinking, and I'm getting stuck in these whirlpools. So I think just talking about it will help me come out of it, and I want to listen to you on it. Yeah, they might be stupid also, so please forgive me for that.
No question in Vedanta is stupid because it is coming from an intellect, you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the way my mind has been thinking first is, okay, I hear that there is a creator. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
There is a creator. Now, the first thought which comes to me, okay, if there's a creator and there's me, there's dualism. But if I look at it and I say, okay, I am a reflection of that creator in the mind. So that is the Advaita in that.
Yes, that's the first thing which you should be very clear, because many people, they get confused on this. See, you must keep in mind your own face and your reflected face. When you see a reflection, you're not taking it as another entity, a second entity.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you take it as you yourself. So in Dakshinamurti, the first stotram of Dakshinamurti, Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari, there Lord Dakshinamurti is explaining, you think that you are that pure consciousness, the whole world is just a spark. Like a spark and the fire, the whole, whatever you are experiencing, you think it is a reflection. And where? Not outside. It is not outside me. That is another point you should remember.
Okay.
I am that screen of consciousness. In me only the waking is coming, going. Dream is
so that is within the
going.
frame of the body. It's in the frame of the body.
It is not the frame of the body. That is where the mistake happens. It is the frame of consciousness.
Frame of consciousness.
Yes. You see, you come out of your body.
Okay. Right.
You come out of your body, abhimana. That is the first thing you clear up in Vedanta.
Okay.
Drop. See, even though we say that the reflection happens in the mind, you should remember that you're not talking of that reflection, you're talking of the original consciousness, which is beyond the mind.
Okay.
You're trying to reveal what? You're not trying to reveal that mind. You're trying to reveal the original consciousness, which is appearing as sentient principle as the mind in your body.
But my reflection, the reflection that would come onto me, onto my part of the consciousness would be would be limited consciousness. It will not be as unlimited as the Brahman, right?
No. You see, this is again, okay. It could be, it is limited because you are looking at that consciousness as that mind.
Okay, yes. Okay.
You
Okay.
don't say that consciousness is the mind. It is the mind is manifesting consciousness exactly. Now you use the example of moonlight.
Okay, yes. Right.
Moonlight is trying to tell me there is sunlight.
Right. Right.
My mind, sentiency in my mind, it can think, is telling me there is a Brahman, which is a thinking principle.
Right.
Which is behind the whole universe.
Right.
So when I look into my own self and I discover, I've got a mind, very good. Don't dwell too much on the mind. You only say, this mind is a manifestation, like the moonlight is a manifestation of the sunlight. I can't see the sun. But looking at the moon, I understand there is a sun.
Right.
Looking at my own mind, I understand there is a consciousness principle. It is
my
not,
mind. My mind is just a medium. It's just a vehicle.
Exactly.
It is not the consciousness.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Now you got it. It is a medium. It is an upadhi.
My mind is also an upadhi. Yes.
It is an instrument I use to understand consciousness. That's all.
Right. Thank you. This helps. This certainly helps. And the other one, it may sound funny, but it just occurred to me that all the it may be okay. So all the gods that are there, this has been going in my head for a very long time, so I'm bringing it out. All the gods are there. They are in partnerships. They're married. Yeah. Whereas all the rishis are single. Okay. I don't know why this is going on in my head. And my other thing is I'm relating it to Brahman. So I'm saying, okay, Brahman also creates. So in a way, if I look at it, the marital life, the grahas jivan is also a creation, is a way of creation of that little jagat that gets
Maya Shakti is Mrs. Brahman. Okay.
Maya Shakti is Mrs. Brahman. Okay.
Yes, Maya
Lakshmi is Brahman.
Yes, Maya Shakti is nothing but Mrs. Brahman. That is why it is coming in your mind.
Seriously? Seriously?
Yes, it is. It is Mrs. Brahman. And therefore, without that Mrs. Brahman, the world cannot come. Without that Shakti, you cannot experience the world. The man cannot do anything without the wife in the world. So wife is a very important factor in life. Similarly, Mrs. Brahman, the Shakti is that Maya Shakti, which we are going to see next week. A little bit more details, right from the second verse onwards, the Maya Shakti is going to come.
So it's the masculine principle and the feminine principle which create the world.
That's correct. The matter principle is the feminine principle.
Matter principle is feminine principle. Okay.
Yes. That is the Mrs. Brahman. That is the Shakti part.
Okay.
And the sentient part is the masculine part, which is the you can take anything if you like. I mean, I don't want to go into gender this thing.
Yeah, no, this is a part of gender. Yeah, this is apart from gender. This is the principle.
To make it simple for your own intellect, you take this as the as this together principle, which we always experience. You see, all our experiences are always together. Brahman plus Maya, Brahman plus Maya. We can never experience Brahman separately and Maya separately.
Yes. Segregation is it's impossible. Yes.
Impossible. Don't break your head. One day I'm going to see Brahman, tomorrow alone. It's not possible. Because without Maya, you cannot see Brahman. You cannot experience.
So when I experience, it will be in the form of Maya Shakti only. It will be a material
Always be in the form of Maya Shakti. That is why the questionnaire himself is that Maya Shakti.
Okay.
That mind which you experience in your body is Maya Shakti.
The mind that I experience in my body
Yes.
is Maya Shakti.
It is the Devi principle in your body.
Oh,
Appreciate.
okay.
You are
Okay.
doing the Lalita Sahasranamam, you chant Lalita Sahasranam, but you want to know what is that Lalita in my Adhyatma, it is the mind.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The mind is a amazing instrument. You know, use it, but then never criticize your mind. Always look positively at your mind and say that is only a Shakti, but I have to see who is the owner of that Shakti. Who is the Shaktivan? Shaktiman is the Purusha, the consciousness.
Right. Right. Right.
That Shaktiman, that owner can remain with or without the Shakti. But the Shakti cannot remain without the owner. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. This is very helpful because I was just stuck in these and doing loops. So yeah.
Okay.
This helps
No,
a
the
lot.
small things like this, see, sometimes the mind gets attached to some doubt.
Yeah.
Unless the doubt is cleared, it will keep on disturbing you.
Yes. 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 So this has been very helpful for me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There are other comments talking about Shiva Purana and all that. Very good. Daivi Hesha Gunami Mama Maya Duratya. Yeah, this is the 14th verse of the 7th chapter. Very beautiful verse. What in Bhagavad Gita says is, it's very difficult to cross my Maya. Lord Krishna says very beautifully, he says, Daivi Hesha Gunami Mama Maya Duratyaya. Very difficult because people are thinking that they are the mind. You see, that is why he says this. I have to drop that mind and then look at what is the substratum behind that mind.
And I have to stop efforting to drop the mind.
Yes. You see, ultimately, the realization of Atma is absolutely effortless. You don't require any effort. You don't require any instrument to know your real status. Because that is how it exists. Atma exists by itself and it is self-effulgent. Self-effulgent means I alone am. Aham Brahma Asmi. That is the realization of a person who has gone through the scriptures. But correctly, you see, you must understand the verses correctly. What I mean is, when you say Aham Brahma Asmi, that Brahman word must be very clearly understood by the intellect.
Yes. Yes.
It is not the mind, it is not the gross body, it is not even the unmanifest mind, which is the Karana Sharira. You see, tomorrow morning again the mind will wake up. Why? Because of the Karana Sharira. So the Karana Shariram is the ignorance part, which covers that nature of Brahman. And it is the Shastra, books like Panchadasi, which is going to tell you that look at that Karana Shariram. Yes, yes, yes. Now I know what is Karana Shariram. Now Panchadasi Vidyaranya says that Karana Shariram is not you. Now you have understood mind is not you. Okay. Now the next step for you is to understand I have another obstacle. And that obstacle is I am not the body which I experience in my sleep state. I am someone beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not held in this frame.
Yeah. This is the last portion. This is the
body
last.
is the body is the last portion.
No, causal body is the last
Causal
station
body.
you have to cross.
Right. Right.
Gross body is easy to cross.
Yeah, the first one, yes.
You know, now I know very well. Gross body is very easy.
Drop it, yeah.
Sukshma Shariram, very difficult to cross. That means the mind.
Yeah.
Because first you have to identify what the mind is. And that is what we are going to see in chapter 4 very clearly. Vidyaranya is a master in trying to reveal to me what my mind is. You will enjoy the chapter because, first of all, he is going to give you the broad picture of creation. You know, from 2nd verse to 13th verse, 5 Upanishad is going to say, and he'll say, in each of this Upanishad, they are talking about a cosmic being, which is there, which exists. You know, the cosmic being, our eyes cannot see it. But he will go through the analysis of 5 Upanishads, and he'll say every Upanishad is talking about this cosmic being, which is conscious. And when your intellect goes through these verses, your intellect will also accept it. I will also accept it. Okay?
Yeah, so for now, I just hold on to the image of the moon.
Yes.
The moon, and that's
the
the
moonlight is not, the light doesn't belong to the moon. It is only it is only manifesting the sun. It is just revealing that there is some sun. My mind is only revealing to me there is some sentient principle which is creative. You see, what is a mind? Mind is creative, right? So there has to be a creator for this world also. That is how I have to learn the Vedanta. Is it clear?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you're right, Sumana. The pole and the pole vault example is a very beautiful example which Chinmananda uses very beautifully. You have to drop that pole, you have to drop that intellect after reaching that Karana Shariram. After reaching, you know, you have done an extremely great step you have taken. That pure Jiva, you have been able to see the mind separate from you. That is a great step. You have almost reached the final. Now what you do? Drop the mind and say the mind is a stepping stone. That's all. It is a stepping stone for me to realize whatever the Shastra wants to reveal to me. See, Shastra is a blessing for us. You see, the moment you come to Vedanta, Shastra becomes very important because ultimately it is this a Veda Vakyam which will reveal to me my own Swarupa. There is nothing in the world which will reveal my nature. There is nothing in the world which will reveal except the Shastra. That is why this study is so beautiful. Okay. Thank you, Venkatesh. I see your doership here. All doerships have to be dropped in the end. So that mind, which is a doer, which is also the enjoyer, has to be dropped. And then you ask the question, who is the one who is sleeping? It is the ahamkara which is sleeping, but the sakshi is always there. It is not changing in all the 3 states. That is what is called as turiyam. That is what is called as Brahman. That is what Panchadasi chapter 4 wants me to realize. Okay? Thank you. Good night.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shikhaji. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Uma. Thank you.
Good night, Shikhaji.
Good night. Good night.
Hari Om, Shikhaji.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you. Bye-bye.